I couldn't say for sure when it started. Maybe a couple of months ago, when she started staying late at work. Or when she began taking her phone outside on weekends, supposedly to talk to her mother. But it became especially obvious after she started paying extra attention to her appearance. Laura had always looked good, but now it was something more. New clothes, expensive perfume, regular trips to the gym. I tried to brush it off as a simple desire to look better. But something inside me screamed. Something had changed. It was Tuesday. I came home later than usual. The hallway light was on, but Laura was nowhere to be seen. Her car was parked outside, and her phone was lying on the kitchen counter. That meant she was home. But where? I headed upstairs. Water was running softly in the bathroom. The shower. I decided to wait, but then something caught my eye. A shirt lay on the floor next to the bed. A men's shirt. And it wasn't mine. I froze. My heart pounded violently. My breath hitched. At that moment, the bathroom door cracked open, and I heard her voice. "Pass me a towel, please." But I was alone in the bedroom. "Sweetheart, do you hear me? Bring me a towel, please." I stood there, staring at the slightly open bathroom door, feeling something inside me shatter. Laura wasn't calling for me. I was sure of that. She didn't know I was here. So who was she talking to? My hand clenched into a fist, nails digging into my palm, but I didn't even feel the pain. My head buzzed. Everything became muted. The hollow echo of water, the sound of my own breathing, and then silence. "Laura?" My voice sounded dull, foreign. A second passed, and then I heard a clumsy movement in the bathroom, as if someone had jolted suddenly. The water kept running, but I couldn't just stand there and wait anymore. I stepped forward and pushed the door open. Laura stood under the stream, her wet hair plastered to her face. She turned her head, and for a split second, I saw fear in her eyes. Quick, barely noticeable, but I saw it. "Alex." Her voice trembled, but she quickly regained her composure. "You scared me." I glanced around. A towel hung on the hook, just a step away from her. She could have reached it. So why did she need to ask? "Are you okay?" I asked, keeping my eyes on her. Laura nodded. Too quickly. "Yeah, just tired." I took a step back, feeling a lump rise in my throat. I couldn't ignore what I had just heard. Someone had been here. I walked out of the bathroom, pulling the door shut behind me, and looked back at the bed. The shirt. A stranger's. Wet footprints on the floor, leading to the closet. A cold wave washed over me. I heard the water turn off. Her soft footsteps approached. "Alex." I turned slowly and saw her wrapped in a towel. There was something in her eyes. Something strange. Not fear. Expectation. I stared at her, then suddenly yanked the closet door open. Silence. Shelves with clothes, neatly hung dresses. Everything looked normal, but I knew something was wrong. The smell. A foreign scent. A men's cologne. Faint, but it was there. "What are you doing?" Laura's voice was steady, but I heard the tension. "Are you sure you're alone?" She blinked, as if trying to understand what I meant. "What are you talking about?" I took a step forward. "You said, 'Pass me a towel.' Who were you talking to?" Her lips parted, but no words came out. "Alex, are you jealous?" she finally said, smirking. "This is ridiculous." "Then explain this." I picked up the shirt, holding it up. "Whose is this?" Laura looked at it. And there it was again, that flicker. Fear, hesitation, and then a smirk. "Oh, for God's sake, it's just my brother's old shirt. He left it here last summer." I stared at her. She was composed, but I knew her too well. "Your brother's?" I stepped closer. "Then why does it smell like someone else's cologne?" This time, the pause was longer. "Alex, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe I washed it with my clothes." "You're acting weird." I looked straight into her eyes. She was lying. Then I heard it. A creak. Faint, but distinct. From inside the closet. I spun around and yanked the door fully open. And for a moment, it felt like my heart just stopped. A pair of unfamiliar eyes met mine. A man. Tall, dark hair. He stood pressed against the back of the closet, shirtless, his chest rising and falling rapidly. Laura gasped, covering her mouth with her hand. I felt something explode inside me. You. My voice broke, and in the next second, I grabbed him by the collar and dragged him out. Laura screamed. Alex, no. But her voice was distant, muffled. I wasn't hearing anything anymore, wasn't feeling anything but pure rage. Who the hell are you? I slammed him against the wall. The man coughed, wiping his mouth. Dave, he rasped. Just calm down, man. Calm down? I clenched my fists. Laura stepped between us, her eyes pleading with me to stop. Alex, listen to me. This isn't what you think. But it was exactly what I thought. My breath came in sharp bursts. I looked at her, then back at him, and all I could ask was, how long? Laura closed her eyes, and that was all I needed. I stepped back, reaching into my pocket for my keys. I needed to leave. Now. I don't remember getting behind the wheel. I don't remember pulling out of the driveway, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. My head buzzed like I'd been hit. A dull, pounding pain pulsed in my chest, making me want to scream, to break something, to erase the last few minutes from my memory. A stranger. In my house. Hiding in my closet. Laura in a towel, her eyes wide with fear. It's not what you think. I slammed my foot on the gas, nearly running a red light. Bullshit. Lies. Everything we had. Everything we were. It had all crumbled like a house of cards. I pulled up at some rundown motel and stepped out of the car. The cold air hit my face, but even that couldn't clear my head. How long had this been going on? How long had she been making a fool of me? My phone buzzed in my pocket, over and over. I didn't want to look, but my hands moved on their own. 20 missed calls from Laura. I declined the call. Then, a new message appeared. Unknown number. We need to talk. You don't know the whole truth. I stared at the screen. What the hell does that mean? I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. My mind couldn't process it. I didn't know the whole truth. They were screwing behind my back. In my house. In my bed. What else was there to know? The phone vibrated again. Unknown number. Alex, this is important. Can we meet? I gritted my teeth. Screw you. But before I could stop myself, my fingers were already typing a response. Me? Who are you? A minute of silence. Then, unknown number. Dave. I'm sorry you found out this way. A surge of rage ran through me. Me? Are you kidding me? You screw my wife, and now you want to talk? A second. 2. Dave, please. Give me 5 minutes. I'll tell you something she never will. Part of me wanted to block his number and never think about this again. But the other part? No. I needed to know. I sat in a late-night diner, my hands shaking with anger, but I forced myself to stay calm. The door creaked open, and he walked in. I clenched my fists. Dave sat across from me, holding my gaze. Thanks for coming. Get to the point, I gritted out. He ran a hand down his face, as if trying to collect his thoughts. Alex, this isn't simple. I don't care, I leaned forward. How long? He looked away. 6 months. My jaw tightened so hard my teeth ached. But you don't understand. I nearly hit him. What's there to understand? You were screwing my wife. His eyes snapped to mine. She found me. I froze. What? Dave clasped his hands together. It wasn't an accident. She knew who I was. She looked for me. What the hell are you talking about? He swallowed. Laura, she's not who you think she is. Something boiled inside me. Stop talking in circles. He leaned in. Alex, are you sure this is the first time? A chill ran down my spine. What? Do you really think this just started recently? Goosebumps prickled my skin. This isn't her first affair, his voice dropped. She's done this before. I shook my head slowly. You're lying. She never loved you. She just uses men until she doesn't need them anymore. The world shrank around me. Prove it. Dave silently pulled out his phone, scrolled through something, and handed it to me. I looked down. Photos. Laura. In a bar. In another city. With another man. She was holding him. Kissing him. The dates were from 3 years ago. She's been lying to you this whole time, Alex. I closed my eyes. This was worse than a punch. It was the kind of truth that shattered everything. I hadn't slept. The clock on my phone read 3:27 a.m., but time had lost all meaning. Dave's photos burned in my mind like a brand. Laura, in a bar, with another man. The date, 3 years ago. If he wasn't lying, then she hadn't only cheated on me with him. That meant everything I thought about our marriage had been a lie. I looked at my phone screen again. Dave, that's not all. If you want the truth, find Michael Carter. The name meant nothing to me. I didn't want to believe Laura had been lying to me for that long, that she had used me, just like Dave had said. But now, I had to know, and I knew where to start. 7 a.m. I sat in my car outside the house, not going inside. Laura was probably awake by now, waiting for me, wondering if I'd come home, if I wanted to talk, but I wasn't going in. I unlocked my phone and typed the name into a search bar. Michael Carter. Within seconds, a list of results appeared. I scrolled through. The first few results, nothing special. Social media profiles, a few irrelevant links. But then, I came across an old article. Local businessman caught in infidelity scandal. I frowned. I clicked the link. Michael Carter, a 42-year-old restaurant owner, was caught in a long-term affair with a married woman. Sources say the man was planning to divorce his wife, but abruptly cut ties with his mistress, after which he disappeared from his life. The woman's identity remains undisclosed, but some claim she was married at the time of their relationship. I reread the last paragraph over and over. The feeling that I was staring into an abyss grew stronger. It might not have been Laura, but if it was, I closed the article and found Carter's social media profile. A man in his mid-40s, well-groomed, wearing an expensive suit. Everything about him screamed money and status. I scrolled through his photos and froze. In one of his older pictures, he was in a restaurant, and in the background, at a table behind him, sat a woman. Blonde hair, slim fingers, a familiar silhouette. I zoomed in, and my stomach twisted. Laura. She was sitting at a table, looking at her phone. It didn't prove anything, but now, I couldn't stop. Still sitting in my car, I found the number of the restaurant Carter used to own. I called. La Viola Restaurant. How can I help you? Good morning. I'm looking for Michael Carter. Sorry, he no longer owns this place. My grip on the phone tightened. When did he sell the business? About a year ago. Do you know where I can find him? The woman hesitated. I'm sorry, but I can't disclose that information. I clenched my jaw. I understand. But, does anyone still work there who knew him well? Unlikely, although. Amy, his former manager, is still here. Maybe she can help. Amy, can I speak with her? One moment. I waited. Then, a new voice came on the line. This is Amy. Who is this? Good morning. I'm looking for Michael Carter. I was told he sold the restaurant. Silence. Why do you need him? A personal matter. A beat of hesitation. I don't know where he is now, but let's just say he didn't disappear for no reason. What do you mean? My pulse pounded. It's about the woman he was seeing. My heart pounded harder. Do you know her name? Amy sighed. No, but I saw her. They came here a lot. I swallowed. What did she look like? Amy thought for a moment. Tall, blonde, very stylish, always dressed elegantly. A ringing noise filled my ears. Do you have a photo of her? Another pause. I don't have anything left, but if you really want to know, asked Carter's wife. I held my breath. His wife. Yes. She found out about them and caused a huge scene. After that, Michael lost everything. I gripped the phone tighter. Where can I find her? I'll send you her number. I didn't respond. I just waited. A minute later, a message came through. Contact, Sarah Carter. I closed my eyes. Laura, what the hell are you hiding? The house felt different. Same facade, same windows, but something about it had changed. Or maybe I had. I stood at the front door, keys in hand, but I didn't turn them in the lock. Everything inside me resisted. I wanted to leave, to disappear, to put all of this behind me. But I needed the truth. I took a deep breath and opened the door. Laura was sitting on the couch, arms crossed over her chest. She was waiting. I saw an empty coffee cup on the table and caught the faint scent in the air. She hadn't slept. Her eyes were red, but not from crying. From exhaustion? Anxiety? Or was she just trying to figure out how to lie her way out of this? You finally came back, she said. Her voice was even, but tense. I shut the door and looked at her. We need to talk. Yeah, we do. Laura straightened, inhaling deeply, preparing for a fight. I didn't give her the chance to start first. Who is Michael Carter? A second. Two. Her fingers twitched slightly, but her voice remained calm. Why are you asking? You know why. Her jaw tightened. It's none of your business. I let out a dry laugh. None of my business? Laura, you're my wife. I just found out you didn't cheat on me for the first time. I'd say that makes it my business. She closed her eyes. Jesus, Alex. Yeah, Jesus, Alex. I took a step forward. Is it true? Were you with him? Laura opened her eyes. She was silent for too long. You don't understand. Then explain it to me. She turned away, running a hand over her forehead. It was a long time ago. I stiffened. How long? Alex. How long, Laura? She snapped her head up to look at me. 2 years. The words cut through me like a knife. 2 years. I took a step back, feeling the ground tilt beneath me. 2 years while I thought we were fine? Laura rubbed her temples. It was complicated. I let out a bitter laugh. Complicated? It was complicated for you? I stepped closer, forcing her to meet my gaze. Complicated to lie? Complicated to sneak around? She exhaled sharply. We were on the brink of divorce, Alex. Remember? I froze. That was a rough patch. Not a reason to fuck another man. Laura shut her eyes. I didn't want you to find out. I ran a hand over my face in frustration. Well, you fucked that up. She looked at me. Michael wasn't who he seemed to be. Oh, so now this is his fault? Laura shook her head. He wasn't just a restaurant owner. I went still. What are you saying? She clenched her jaw. I didn't realize it at first, but when I did, it was too late. I frowned. What are you talking about? Laura met my eyes. Alex, he wasn't just my lover. My heart pounded harder. For fuck's sake, Laura, what are you hiding? She covered her face with her hands. He forced me. I tensed. What? She lifted her head. Her eyes filled with something that almost looked like pain. He threatened me, Alex. I didn't know what to believe. With what? Her fists clenched. With telling you. I slowly shook my head. You're lying. Laura flinched. Alex. No. I took a step back. You wouldn't have been with him for 2 years out of fear. This was your choice. Her breath hitched. I didn't want to hurt you. Well, congratulations, you failed. I grabbed my jacket. Where are you going? I looked at her. To Michael. Laura froze. Alex, no. You just said he threatened you. Then I need to talk to him. She paled. Don't go to him. I narrowed my eyes. Why not? Laura didn't answer. I stepped closer. Why, Laura? And suddenly, it hit me. You know where he is. She clenched her jaw. Alex. Tell me. I can't. Tell me, goddammit. She trembled. He threatened me, but not the way you think. I stilled. What are you afraid of? Laura lowered her head. I'm pregnant. I stared at Laura, something breaking inside me. You what? She swallowed. I'm pregnant, Alex. I froze, feeling the air grow heavier. Proof. Her lips trembled. Alex. Proof, Laura. She took a shaky breath, turned away, and ran a hand through her hair. You think I'm lying? I clenched my fists. I know you know how to lie. She stiffened, then, as if coming to a decision, slowly walked to the dresser, opened the top drawer, and pulled something out. She held it out to me. I took it. A pregnancy test. 2 lines. How far along? Laura nervously licked her lips. 8 weeks. I froze. 8 weeks. My mind raced to do the math. 2 months ago. When was the last time you were with him? She blinked. Alex. When, Laura? She inhaled sharply. Around 3 months ago. I studied her carefully. So the baby is mine? Laura nodded. A cold fire burned inside me. You're lying. She flinched. Alex, I'm not. I shook my head. I can't just take your word for it, Laura. She wrapped her arms around herself. Then what do I have to do to make you believe me? I looked her straight in the eyes. A DNA test. 3 days. That's how long it took to schedule the appointment. We sat in the waiting room. Laura was pale, her hands resting on her stomach. I felt nothing, just emptiness. Alex. Not now. She fell silent. A minute later, they called her name. I watched her go and took a deep breath. Then I turned to the doctor. Doctor, if the baby isn't mine, will you tell me the truth? The doctor looked at me. Yes. The day of the results. I sat in the office. Laura was beside me. The doctor looked at the papers. The test confirms that Alex is the biological father. I tensed. Laura let out a shaky breath. See? But I didn't look at her. Something wasn't adding up. The doctor set the papers aside. Congratulations to both of you. I gave a silent nod. But inside, something felt wrong. That evening, I sat on the porch. Laura was making dinner. I stared into the distance. All of this was too perfect, as if she knew the test would confirm paternity. But how? I pulled out my phone, dialed the clinic. Good evening, doctor. I have a question. Yes? I hesitated, then said, could my wife have tampered with the results? Silence. That's impossible. Are you sure? The doctor sighed. Unless someone interfered with the process. A chill ran down my spine. Who could do that? The doctor paused. Only someone with connections in the lab. I closed my eyes. Thank you. I walked into the house. Laura smiled at me. Everything okay? I stared at her for a long time. Then, in a quiet voice, I asked, did you fake the test? She froze. And that was all I needed. I stared at Laura, feeling something inside me finally shatter. You faked the test? Her lips trembled. Alex, answer me. She swallowed but quickly regained her composure. Of course not. Why would you even think that? She took a step toward me, but I pulled away. Because I don't believe you. Something flickered in her eyes. Fear? Anger? Or the realization that her plan was beginning to fall apart. This is insane, Alex. You saw the results yourself. I took a deep breath, keeping my voice steady. Yeah, but now I want to take the test again. Somewhere else. Her breath caught. What? It's simple, Laura. We go to another clinic, take another test. If the result is the same, I'll drop it all. She shook her head, letting out a nervous laugh. This is ridiculous. Is it? I held her gaze, and I didn't have to say anything else. She knew I wasn't going to back down. Alex. Her voice softened, almost pleading. Do you really want to go through this again? It's humiliating. For both of us. No, Laura. It's humiliating for you. Her expression hardened. You're acting crazy. I clenched my jaw. Or like a husband who's been betrayed and refuses to believe another one of your lies. Her fists tightened at her sides. Fine, Alex. You want this? Fine. Let's take another test. The next day, we arrived at an independent lab in another part of town. Laura had been silent all morning, but I noticed her fingers tapping anxiously against her phone. You really don't have a choice, do you? She muttered as we stepped out of the car. I didn't respond. Can't you just trust me? I looked at her. No. She let out a shaky breath and walked ahead, as if she just wanted to get it over with. When we left the clinic, Laura lit a cigarette. I watched her fingers tremble as she brought it to her lips. This is ridiculous, she muttered, exhaling smoke. Do you really think I could have? Yes. She froze. I met her gaze. Yes, Laura. I think you could. She looked away. You don't understand, Alex. What exactly don't I understand? She let out a long breath. Everything. I smirked. Well, we'll find out soon enough. The clinic felt even quieter than the last time. The doctor gave us a polite smile and handed me an envelope. Here are your results. I slowly tore it open, eyes scanning the words. My heart pounded. Then everything seemed to collapse inward. I read it again and again. Negative. A storm rose inside me. My fingers tightened around the paper. I lifted my head slowly. Laura stared at me, her face pale. She knew. She knew. I placed the paper on the desk. Explain. She swallowed. Alex. I stood up. Whose baby is it, Laura? She closed her eyes, stepping back. Say it. She clutched her chest. Alex, I don't know. Something inside me snapped. You don't know? She let out a soft sob, backing away, but I wasn't about to let this go. Who? Dave? Michael? Who? Her lips quivered. Then, in a whisper, she said, I don't know. I stopped breathing. There were more? She covered her face with her hands. I'm sorry. I laughed. A hollow, broken sound. You don't even know who the father is? Laura choked back a sob. I didn't want it to turn out like this. I clenched my fists. How long? She shook her head. Alex. How long, Laura? She finally looked at me. A year. I felt like I was being ripped apart. I stared at the paper, feeling everything inside me crumble. Negative. The baby wasn't mine. I read it again, but the letters didn't change. It was clear. I slowly lifted my head. Laura sat across from me, pale as a ghost. She knew. Alex. Her voice was barely above a whisper. I didn't respond. I simply folded the papers, slipped them into my jacket pocket, and stood up. Laura jumped to her feet. Wait, let's talk. I looked at her. About what? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. I stared at her. At the woman I had spent years with. The woman I had trusted. The woman I had loved. Now, she was just a stranger. Alex, please. I turned and walked toward the exit. She ran after me, grabbing my arm. Don't go. I looked down at her fingers gripping my sleeve. Slowly, without emotion, I removed her hand. Goodbye, Laura. I walked out of the clinic and got into my car. I didn't know where I was going. I just kept driving. Away from her. Away from this life. For good.